everything in my life has led me to this point. It's almost by design. All of my experiences. I've been in the corporate world and pretty professional jobs, and then shifting to the energy healing range.
Welcome to the Metamorphosis Project Podcast. I'm your host, Tenya Eickenberg, and this is a space where transformation begins. Welcome back to the Metamorphosis Project Podcast. I am Tenya, your host, and with me today I have Herman Petrick. Herman, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You are an energy healer and a coach, and I myself energy healer and a coach. So we have quite a bit in common. So I love talking to other energy healers because there are so many different modalities out there that tap into the energy that we can't necessarily see with our conscious eyes. But we can feel it all, we can experience it all. But a lot of humans are kind of numb to what their bodies are experiencing. So when I talk about energy, it's like what is it that we can access? How can we access it? And I would love to know, where did you get your start in the energy world? Because in this day and age, it's becoming more and more prevalent, but I'm not sure if that's because I'm in that world or it just is becoming more prevalent. That's hard to, I guess, see if you're not in this world. Yeah, if you're not, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think a lot of times when you're in a specific modality or business, all of a sudden you start to realize how much more of that there is. But
Yeah.
it, especially like in the Western world, energy healing is not quite as big as it is in other parts of the world. And a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people view it as just something that sounds crazy
Hoo-ha,
and doesn't
woo-woo.
really
Yeah.
work. But yeah, it's an interesting field. I started in 2012, so it's been
Been
roughly
a while.
14 years, and I never really set out to be, okay, I'm going to be an energy healer. That was never
I don't think any
something.
of us do.
No, no. It,
I think it just drops into our laps because we are looking for something to give us the results that we are looking for.
yeah. And for me, I've always had this feeling of always a lot of compassion for people and wanting to help people, and I didn't really know how to help people. And just all of a sudden I came upon this gift that I have where I can connect with people and work on their energy. And it just worked brilliantly. And I started talking to it about with a few friends, and they thought I was kind of crazy, and I just knew deep down that it was more of a life purpose for me, not like a job or like a hobby. I was like, this is what I should be doing, and it came with so much ease that it just felt right.
Hmm.
And I didn't get any like training manual or anything that came with it because I don't follow like a specific modality where you go to
Hmm.
school and you learn this or that. It just happened organically. And the first couple years, I was more in like learning mode, what I can do and what things are, because I was just oblivious to what everything was energetically. My background, I grew up in Portland, Oregon, a very Christian household, so just very conservative. I left home 18, 19 and left the Portland area and have lived all over the place. And so I got a lot of experiences under my belt. But I was living in New Zealand at the time when the gift came forward, and I just started doing it. And
Hmm.
I had people reaching out to me. So I started to have people reaching out to me. So I created a website, and I've just been going since then. And, I over the years I've gotten better and better and more effective, and my reach is getting bigger and bigger. My audience is really all over the world. I because all my work is done remotely, and my clients don't really participate in the work, so I do the work when they don't have any idea I'm doing it, and then just
Hmm.
email them the results, and then that's how it works. So it's been quite the journey. And it's been amazing to see transformations in people's lives. That's really what keeps me going is the connection to the people that I work with, and seeing the difference. The impact to me is very important. At the end of the day, it's like, what impact have I made on this world? And I can put my hand on my heart and say I've made a pretty big impact with the people I worked with. And it's that old ripple effect. I help this person, then they help hundreds more. And, it just carries on and on and on. And it's like, trying to create a world that has much more love in it than
Yeah.
hate. And this is the type of work that helps people connect to their true self. And if people are really connected to their heart, they're going to share a lot more love. So that's kind of the way my thought process has been going over the last 10, 15 years.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Was there a pivotal moment when your gifts started to come through that um that was the key to why your gifts came when they came?
Yeah, it's really hard to pinpoint. I've reflected on that many times, and I look back at my life, and I was just talking about it the other day. It's like I everything in my life has led me to this point. It's almost by design. All of my experiences. I've been in the corporate world, and pretty professional jobs, and then shifting to the energy healing realm is a
Quite a
complete,
difference.
yeah, yeah. And so, and a lot of, you know, energy healers they don't care about their appearance as much. So they look more like hippie, so to speak.
Right.
And not that there's anything wrong with that, but a lot of people are surprised when they see me. They're like, "Oh, you don't look like a energy healer. You look like a."
Right. You're not the stereotypical what
Yeah.
the imagery of what media has put out as to
Yeah,
what an
I
energy
need
healer
long
is.
hair is what
Right.
I need. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
but 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 yeah, I think some things happened, some big changes happened in my life. I was married for 23 years and went through a divorce, and at about that time is when things started to shift for me. And I was learning a few years before a little bit more about Eastern religions and stuff. I was very fascinated by, the Hindu, the chakra system, and I was kind of learning that. And I was like, whoa, this is really amazing. And so that kind of got me in that direction. And I went through this divorce, and I remember I was um, I was laying in bed for about a month or so, not straight, but when I'd go to bed, I would
Right.
lay down, and before I'd fall asleep, I'd felt like these lightning bolt jolts, like they'd come in threes, like bzzz, 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 and it was like it felt like it was download. I didn't have any fear around it, but it just felt almost like a download. And then
Right.
several months later, um, I met someone else, and I was over at her house, and she lived hours away, and her house was a problem. It had all these crazy energies that were creating sleep paralysis and tormenting her every
Mhm.
day, every night. Her family wouldn't even come visit her because they would feel it when they would come in. And she had the church that she was going to at the time. They sent in three different preachers or priests to try to work out what it was, and they couldn't figure it out. They knew something was there, they couldn't get rid of it. And I was there, and she told me about it, and I just had this instinct to walk around the house and tell whatever was there to leave. And I didn't really tell her about it. And then a couple weeks later, I called her and said, "Hey, how's things in your house?" And she was like, "Wow, it's really weird. Ever since you left, I haven't had any problems." And I was like, "Ooh." So I did this and it worked. And so then that got me motivated. And I read a few books on like exorcisms and demonology and what are these energies. There's some crazy information out there, a lot of information, and it's hard to decipher what's what. And
Right, right.
I just started. There was one book that I read that really made an impact. It was called Adversaries Walk Among Us, and it was written by a guy out of Sedona, Arizona, a shaman. Um,
Hmm.
I think he's since passed on, but that book really made an impact on me. And that's when I started realizing, okay, this is the type of energy I'm dealing with,
Yeah.
and this is how I'm going to approach it. And then I started testing it on some friends, and it just worked brilliantly. And so the process, my healing, the energy healing that I do, the main thing is I remove what I call energetic parasites from people.
Hmm.
And an energetic
Entity.
parasite is
Yeah,
an outside energy that attaches. And
yeah,
there's people call them different things. There's so many
yep,
different names and there's several different types. And for me, I don't get caught up on what this is because it's a parasite. And what
yeah,
it
yeah.
does is it attaches to people's energy and it feeds on their energy. It feeds on people's fears and it feeds on
Hmm.
people's anxiety. But the interesting thing is it creates that fear and that anxiety by manipulating the person's thoughts and their emotions. And so it's
Yeah,
like it's producing its own, food, so to speak, by
right,
creating
right.
the thoughts and the emotions that are going to lead you to the fear and the anxiety. And so
Well, yeah, it needs something to feed off of. So it's like, well, I'm going to make sure that you feel this so that I can keep being
it's
fed.
creating its
And
own source
yeah,
of energy through
yeah,
through its manipulation. And
right.
so
Yep,
and
yep,
you can't see it, and so people don't realize that it's there. They think it's just them with this internal dialogue when it is
right. It's their
100% a
anxiety,
parasite.
it's their anger, it's their fear. They identify with it
Mm,
because past generations have always identified as being I am fearful, I am scared, I am mad, I am sad. It's,
yeah, and it
absolutely. And
should be I feel this, I feel
right.
that.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest tips that I give clients is, we are not our always our thoughts and our emotions. We're separate from them. And so if we can get ourselves in a position where we observe our thoughts and our emotions, that's separating ourselves from us.
Hmm.
But most people are just guided through life by that. And if you're being guided through life by your thoughts and your emotions, and your thoughts and emotions are being manipulated by these parasites, you're really not driving your life. And so my work is really, it comes down to helping people connect to their true authentic self. And I simply help them connect by removing the parasites from them and their space because everything is energy, right?
Right.
And so that's the biggest thing is clearing the energies from them in their space. And then from there, I go into sending healing. And the healing is cutting connections, removing blockages, removing, stuck traumas. And there's about a dozen different things that I do depending on what the person's needs are. And when I do my work, everything is done through my intent. So I set my intention to do this. So
It's
first I
quantum.
set my intention to connect with the person. And when I connect with them, I set my intent to clear what's there on them in their space. And then I go through and just boom, 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 boom. It's a pretty quick process. I I like to do it when they don't know it's happening because these things are so connected with them. If I say, okay, we're going to schedule it on this day and this time, well, guess what? Some of the real nasty parasites will just simply leave for the time being and come
Right.
back. So I
Yeah.
do it on my own time. And then the process, I like to say, takes, a few days for things to really settle. Because after I do my work, a lot of times people feel somewhat emotional because a lot of
Hmm.
stuff is moving, a lot of old stuck
Yeah.
traumas and stuck emotions are being released, and they feel really emotional and a little tired and lethargic. And when you're in that real tired state, that's when you're most vulnerable from energies from the environment, as I'm sure you're well aware.
Yeah.
And so it's important that I keep track of them the first couple weeks on their energy. Like, are they picking up other stuff? And if I see a pattern, then I reach out and say, hey, we there's a pattern. You're picking stuff up regularly, or something in your environment. And a lot of times, what's interesting, I
Yeah,
found
she's back.
just by learning as I went, is when people
Yeah.
are on prescription medications, they pick up a lot more energies. And so
Oh,
it's like,
yeah. Well, you
especially like,
imagine how many people are touching those medications. It's the packaging, the ingredients that go into the medication. So you could have hundreds of people touching everything that goes into these medications, and so they're imprinting onto those.
well, it's like the anti depression or anti-anxiety pills. They dumb down your energy, and they
Yeah.
mask the problem. And when someone's on a prescription, and even like narcotic, like opioids and stuff, they wreck your energetic body. And when your energetic body is worn down, you pick things up from your environment like a sponge. And if you think in terms of energy, everything is energy. And if your energy is not being protected, we have a self-protection mechanism. But when we're worn down, we're not getting enough
Right.
sleep. We're being attacked. We're taking drugs. It just wrecks us. And then we just pick up, and it becomes this compounding effect. We pick up more and more and more until it really implodes. And then when it implodes, we go back to the doctor and they give us a heavier dosage, and it's just,
Hmm.
it's not really sustainable. And so I can always tell when someone's on prescription meds when I work with them, because once I clear them, a few days later they pick up more. Then I clear them again, they pick up more, and it's just this
Right.
cycle. So it's and don't get me wrong, some of the Western meds are amazing in what they do, and they help a lot of people, but I feel like it's just more of an over prescribing issue.
Right. They're not meant for long-term use. I think
Yeah.
they're supposed to be used for short-term use while you get your bearings back to the state where you can take care of yourself again, or you know what you need to do to maintain um a level of balance
Hmm.
in your entire energetic, physical, spiritual system.
Hmm.
And that's where I think a lot of like self-care needs to come in, and taking care of those things so that you're not on those prescriptions for years.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. It's we got to really work on our inner balance, and
Yeah.
mindfulness, and take time for ourselves. Where everyone is so connected to their technology. We're online. Everything is in an instant. We can watch movies, listen to music on demand. We're always connected. We have our phones, our social media, our news. We're constantly being inundated or programmed, so to speak, that
Hmm.
we forget to just breathe,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
breathe, and let go of all of the thoughts and the emotions, and just focus internally, focus on breathing in and out, and doing that every day for say 10-20 minutes. It'll change your life, because you're connecting, but we're so connected to technology, we're disconnected from who we are, and we're just numb to everything around us, when all we need to do is really just look inside ourselves. But when we're so disconnected, it's hard to look inside ourselves, and that's where
Mhm.
my work, I feel like, helps a lot of people really connect.
Yeah.
So the key
Yeah.
the
Because you,
key again to my work is helping people connect to their true
yeah.
selves.
Yeah. You,
um,
you clear away the inner static so that
mhm.
they can reemerge and take back control of their lives.
Yeah, so the human body has this amazing ability to heal itself, but it can't really do that if there's all kinds of blockages in your flow and stuff. And so, working with someone like us, where we can help people reset their energy and remove blockages, then their bodies
Hmm.
start to heal themselves, and they can be a better part of society, because then they can start, caring more about the people around them. That's really
Right.
the biggest thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're doing amazing work. Um, I think that I know that energy healing is going to keep getting raised in to the awareness of those who never even considered it before. Um, it starts with, when you research energy healing online, you get a lot of like acupuncture, Reiki, theta healing. Those are becoming more mainstream because they're being found in hospitals and spas and stuff like that. But I think when those of us who do more detailed energy work and work with more of the nefarious energies, um, that's going to start to come into more people's awareness because they're going to have that understanding that darker, I want to say darker energies, because they're just energies. They're just low vibration energies um, that cause a little bit more of a problem than some others may. Um, but there's going to be more, we're going to be higher in demand because
Yeah.
this is something that doctors don't work with. They don't entertain.
Yeah, well, one of the things that we're up against as, alternative practitioners, so to speak, or energy healers is, the technology has all these algorithms to not let people find us.
Absolutely.
The last couple years has been a major shift. I know for me, marketing has been a big problem. I'll do a video and I'll talk simply about energy clearing, and my video will be banned on whatever platform. And I'm not saying anything specific. And what's happened over the years is there's been a lot of legislation around, big pharma lobbying for this to block any sort of momentum that we get from an alternative
Right.
medicine type practice. And I've always known that, but it's gotten a lot worse, and I've seen it in the way I market, because I used to market through Google paid ads, and my business was doing amazing. And then in the last year and a half, it's just I went from
Wow.
doing I dropped probably 70% of my business because something changed.
Right.
And it started with the whole AI technology. So if you Google something, half the page is taken up by an AI answer. And a lot of people aren't even using Google search. They're just going to Chat GPT or
Yep.
Claude or whatever. And if you ask those AIs about energy healing, AI is just gathering information from the internet and what people are saying, and everyone, from the medical field is, it doesn't work, it's a scam, it's this or that. And so it's really the last couple of years has set energy healing back, because my
Hmm.
reach used to be massive. Now my reach
It's
isn't so
interesting.
massive, and I'm not making the impact I should be making. And
Right.
I'm kind of at a loss because my marketing's not working anymore. And so and when I do try to market on different platforms, I've never been a social media person, because I feel like social media is part of what's wrong with society.
Hmm.
People are faking everything and then creating anxiety for the people that feel like they don't have enough. And so I tried marketing on social media, and then my marketing material gets banned. I've been banned for life on Facebook, and I don't even know why. I hadn't used it for 10 plus years, and I tried to go back on to create some marketing through Meta, and I can't even get on the platform anymore. Um,
Wow.
and so it's like it's trying, it's almost like an attack, an assault on energy healing, because how do you get your word out there? Google doesn't really work anymore. AI is thinks we're scammers. Um,
Hmm.
and what can you do other than just local, connecting with people through podcasts and such? It's a tough one, but I feel like it's been by design. It's like the Western medicine has been assaulting. And you saw it during, COVID times. There was a few drugs out there that were effective that were kind of banned or frowned upon. And
Right.
And it's like the Western medicine isn't looking for a fix for people. It's looking for a band-aid so they can carry on with their business plan. A
Mhm.
person healed is a customer lost.
I
And
think maybe as a collective, a bunch of us energy healers need to get together and do some energy clearing on the algorithms and marketing and the internet.
yeah, it's it's
Absolutely.
it's it's like you might as well start calling it the dark web because it's, filtering so
Yeah,
much stuff. And I understand there's a lot of people that are, say they're doing energy healing when they're scamming people,
right.
but that happens in every industry. Any
Absolutely.
industry you can look at, there's scammers, but then there's the real authentic people trying to connect, and then they're just there's no platform for our voice.
Well, I think I think one of the reasons that um that we're being silenced by big pharma, billionaires, all these people with all this money is that there isn't much money to be made when you're healed. Or, like when I started on my healing journey, prior to my healing journey, I retail therapy, I loved shopping, all that kind of stuff. And since my healing, like I want to get rid of stuff. I don't want to keep buying stuff that has no value or adds anything to my life. And it's and so I save money by not, prices of stuff have gone up regardless, but I'm not shopping as much as I used to because
Yeah,
I don't
you're
need
not
that
you're
things.
not being programmed to shop
Right,
anymore. The
right.
programming is buy,
Yep,
consume, 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 whatever it may be. That's the programming. And people will say, well, what programming? It's the program. Watch a TV show or a movie, and there's
yep,
programming in it 100%. I can see it every time I sit down and watch a show. I just go, ugh. I can see through it all now. And same thing in the media. And people need to turn off their TVs and stop watching the news because it's a collaborated lie. But when does a lie become a truth? When it's
repeated
said
over
over a
and over and
thousand
over.
times and they just
Yeah,
constantly pounding lies after lies, and then it turns into people's truths. And it's we have to disconnect from all of the programming that's happening around us. And
right.
it's not just TVs, it's video games, it's marketing, billboards. It's every time you look at something, you look at a brand, there's symbols all around us.
Hmm.
And we don't realize that those symbols have an energetic power. And
Yeah,
most of the
I just saw a in one of my messaging groups someone sent, we're talking about the placement of products and media using us to place messages and stuff like that. And it was this image of Fox News, and it says like Fox Raw, and when you invert the image, it turns it to war.
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
like,
You would
what?
you would be surprised at how many of those big corporations, and almost all corporations, except for the little small businesses, there's symbolism in all of their.
Yeah.
And if you look at things like, I don't know if you know much about numerology, but there's
Hmm.
the power of numerology. And I remember seeing something, and it was like Fox. It was about Fox, and it wouldn't just be Fox, it would be anything, but it's a numbers game. And I think if you uh, something comes out with a sequence of numbers, and those
Right.
numbers have power. But
Right.
all the brands, all the automotive brands, all the big companies that are producing foods, all the
Yep.
news networks, it's just symbolism. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's
People will see
like kind of
1111 and I'm like, oh, I need to buy that. And
yeah.
it's like, no, no, you
And
don't.
that's what it is. And it's yeah, and then we're just consuming and consuming and consuming, and that's part of like your ego self is, you feed your ego and it wants more. It's never
Mhm.
satisfied. It always wants more. And so that's why we have to get out of our egos and more into our heart. And the only way to do that is to work on ourself internally, work on our inner balance. Go, keep an open mind and try a new, healing practice. Go
Right.
get some Reiki, go get some energy healing, there's so
Go
many
for a
different
walk.
modalities out there and that are effective for a lot of people, but they just have
Yeah.
they get a bad mark. Um,
Well, I think
so
part of that is that and while I know that energy work can and will have great instant results, there are many things that we as human beings deal with that are so many layers. And when you have, let's say you have like layers and layers of generational wounding going on around relationship patterns, and someone goes to an energy healer and says, okay, I want to work on my relationship. I want to attract love. I want to attract a significant other. And they have one session, and within a week or so, they haven't attracted their soulmate. And they're like, oh, it didn't work. And it's like, well, you're trying to erase generations and generations of these patterns. And it may take more than one session. It may take more than one type of work, because you can't just do energy work and expect things to pan out. You can't just do the physical work and expect things to pan out. You've got to
mhm,
do all the things. You've got to bring that whole body into balance, and that's, that inner balance is where all of those pillars come from.
mhm. It's more than just layers. It's like I like to use a computer analogy, which is say your laptop computer has all these bugs and viruses. It's running sluggish and it's slow, and you take it to the computer repair person and they clean it. They do a
Mm-hmm.
big reset on it. They clear the cache. Memory works a little faster. Things work faster. They reset the hard drive, get rid of the viruses. Then they hand you your laptop back. Now, if I take my laptop and I run the same programs, go to the same websites, I'm probably going to pick up the same bugs and viruses and get my memory filled up by
Yep.
whatever programs I'm running. And so when you have energy healing, it's about doing a reset, but then it's about shifting the direction. Like you were saying, someone wants to find love, and after a week they give up. Well, there has to be self-love before
Right.
external love happens. And a lot of
Yeah.
people are so busy focused on what's coming. Oh, when I get to here,
Mm-hmm.
or they're defined by, oh, this always happens to me last time. So no one's in the present moment, and it's
Yeah.
hard to stay in the present moment because we're looking for this, or we're worried about what happened in the past. And so
Yeah.
we have to really take stock in who we are and what we've been through and where we want to go, and just shut it all down, just be
Yep.
present. And then once we make that connection, and when we get out of here to here, when we have our laptop, we can start making decisions on the direction we want to go based off here, not the manipulation that's been happening over the years from here. And it's hard to make that shift. And so you're right. A lot of people give it a week or two and just go,
Yeah.
and then they'll go right back into their habits. And, that's why I always recommend to people, you need 21 days of doing something forms a habit. So take 10 minutes a day,
Mm-hmm.
sit in silence,
Yep.
focus on breathing in and out, nothing else. If a
Yep.
thought comes into your mind, let it go, focus on
Acknowledge
how
it.
does it feel
Yeah.
coming in and out, the breath.
Yep.
That's all you have to do, 10 minutes a
Yep.
day, and pretty soon you're going to start to get clarity because you're silencing the noise.
Right.
Trust me, the noise will be there when you get out of your 10 minutes, but the more you do it, then you can separate yourself from your thoughts and your emotions. And then you can start questioning when you have a thought, where is this coming from? Oh, that doesn't serve me. And then you move on.
Right.
Part of
Or
the
is this
problem,
mine?
a lot of, yeah,
That's what I ask a lot. Is this even mine?
yeah, exactly. And part of the problem a lot of people have is emotions. We want to hold on to an emotion, and you can't, you can't hold on to an emotion. think of an emotion as energy in motion. It has to be in constant motion. If you're
Yeah.
trying to hold on to something that needs to be moving on, it's going to create a blockage. And when you have a blockage in your flow, things aren't flowing. And when things aren't flowing, you become disconnected. You become
Yeah.
stagnant. And then that starts to create disease in the body because nothing's flowing how it should.
Yeah.
So
She
that's kind of a big deal.
My cat has said I'm fine. I'm climbing up on the desk now because you're not paying any attention to me. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's yeah, there's a whole lot that goes into um the inner balance. And energy work, I think, is mindset work works, but it takes a lot longer if you're not doing the energy work along with it. If you do the energy work along with it, you get much quicker
Mm-hmm.
results. And you can
Mm-hmm.
stick to that 21 days of creating the habit. Because I hear all the time, I can't do 21 days. Like I can't even do 7 days, and it's just like, well, first of all, how bad do you want to feel better? Do
Mm-hmm.
I always ask the question, do you want to stay like this for the next 20 years, 30 years? And the answer is always no, right? They don't want to stay in that state. But then you say, okay, well then this is the work you need to do. And they're like, oh, I can't do that.
If you can't prioritize 10 minutes a day out of your life, your priorities are wrong and you can't be helped. You have to help yourself. You can't rely on someone to fix your issues. Yes, you can have someone help get you reset and pointed in the right direction, but the work is up to you. It's not a magic pill. And life happens around us. We're energetic beings. Everything is energy. We're going to run into problems. It's just not always, roses around us. There's
Right.
going to be some times, but if we have a practice where we work on our inner balance, we're going to meet that adversity with so much more clarity, you know. So
Yep.
yeah, I get it the same thing. A lot of people, I don't have time. And it's like if you don't can't find 10 minutes a day, you're not prioritizing, your life, right? I mean, it's there's 24 hours in a day. If you can't carve out 10 minutes, you got a problem.
Yep. Even if it's 10 minutes right before you put your head down on the pillow.
Or right when you wake up, either
Yeah.
thing, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like you got to find the time, you
Yep.
know.
Absolutely. Herman, is there
Mm.
anything, before we bring the conversation to an end, is there anything that you want the listeners to know or to hear that we did not touch on?
Yeah, just the biggest thing is what energy healing is, how it works. Kind of a lot of the side effects would be some of it's very subtle, but the subtleties add up and we just discount them. Like if we're having, regular headaches, it's usually some sort of an energy block or an energetic attachment. If we're struggling with sleep, if we have negative self-talk, if we have anxiety, we just pay attention to our bodies. We can usually tell if there's something going on. Um, and really it's about working on ourselves, our inner balance, because once we figure out how to work on ourselves, we can start making an impact on the people around us. And maybe for some people, it's not important to impact people around you, but it's to me that's one of the biggest things is how can we make an impact? What are we even here for if we're not here to impact the people around us? And so yeah, um, what energy healing is, it's simply cleaning of the energy, clearing of the energies that are attached, and hitting the reset button. It's very simple. It's non-evasive, and it can really just spark a lot of change in a person's life. I've worked with so many people, thousands of people, and I have so many stories of people that have completely shifted directions in their careers.
Hmm.
There's a lot of healers out there that don't know they're healers. Um,
Yeah.
and they struggle because they deep down they know, but they don't know how to get there, and they're just stuck in their 9 to 5 job, whatever it is they're
Right.
doing, when really they're here to really make an impact on the people. And there's a lot of very highly sensitive people, empathic people, and a lot of people don't even know what an empath is, and a lot of empaths don't even know what an empath is. And an empath is simply someone that can really feel other people's emotions, or
Mm-hmm.
what they're going through. And empaths tend to absorb a lot of other people's stuff and take it away with them, and it causes problems for them. And
Right.
so if you're an empath, you really need to protect your energy a little bit more and work on yourself a little bit more, and recognize that that's a gift that you have, where a lot of people will be more of a recluse because they don't want to go around a lot of people, because the people affect them in a negative
Mm-hmm.
way, because they're
Or they
not
self-medicate to
to
numb what they're
to stop
feeling.
it.
Yeah.
And that, being an empath a very important gift. So, but yeah, the message out there is just, reach out for help if you feel like things, if you're in a rut, or you feel like you want a shift direction in your life. Look within. You
Yeah.
know, sometimes it's really hard to look within when there's so much noise going on around you, but you have to find the time and do that. And once you're able to connect and look within, all of a sudden life becomes a little bit easier, and you start to understand things a little bit better.
Yeah. And when life can become a little bit easier, you can keep doing the work and it continues to get a little bit easier and a little bit easier. Before you know it, it's 50% easier, it's
Mm-hmm.
60% easier, and it just snowballs.
Yeah, yeah, it
Where can
is.
they, Pat's back, where can they find you to work with you?
So my website, which is just my name, hermanpetrick.com. There's a contact form that you can just send me an email. I'd be happy to have a conversation, a 15-minute consultation, no charge, just to explain what I would suggest for the person, and what they would expect after the work is done. But yeah, just my website's the best way to contact me. So
She's pushing it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and you said you're not on social media, but
Well,
your website,
I
Google.
do I do have a Instagram account. Somehow I have Instagram, but not Facebook. Um, and I have a a YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel was more designed for clients. After I do my work, I email a list of what I've done, and a lot of times people are like, "What? What does that mean?" And so I have a bunch of short videos, 5-minute videos on
Kind of explaining everything.
what is soul retrieval, what is a soul tie, what is a cord connection,
Okay.
all kinds of little informational
Right.
videos. So yeah, I have a YouTube channel. If you just Google my name, there'll be all kinds of information come up on me, because I've been doing it long enough that I've been on different TV shows and radio shows and podcasts, but my website's probably the best way to look at what I do, or my
Okay.
YouTube channel. There's some videos it's worthwhile seeing. But yeah, just reach
Perfect. And
out to me, and I'd be happy to connect and have a conversation.
awesome. And all of that will be in the show notes for anybody who wants to contact him. You'll be able to just click on his website and it'll take you right there. Herman, thank you so much for coming on. I always learn something new in every episode. And this was no different. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing all of your insights and your knowledge. And I know anybody and everybody who listens to this is going to find something in the conversation that is going to help them take that next step forward.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me on your podcast. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us on the Metamorphosis Project podcast. I hope today's episode brought you inspiration, joy, and a spark of empowerment. Remember, transformation is an incredible journey, and every single step you take towards self-care and healing brings you closer to the life you truly desire. If this episode uplifted you, please subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps us to share this journey of hope, resilience, and joy with many listeners. For more tips, support, and inspiration, come and visit us at designyourexistence.com. Until next time, keep growing, keep healing, and keep shining brightly. You are absolutely worth every bit of love and care you give to yourself. Take care, stay joyful, and be well.